We are live. All right. Alrighty. What's going on, everybody? It's Justin. Just got off work about 2 hours ago. Now I'm gonna relax and do a little bit of painting before I take a nap. But I just came home, like I said, and turned on Amazon Prime, and I knew it was coming back, but I didn't know the date. And the Kids in the Hall sketch show from back in the day is back, and I'm freaking stoked. I used to love that show. I used to watch it during high school. I used to have doubles for football practice, 2 days, and I lived kind of close to the football fields. Like walk home in between practices, and there would be 2 episodes of this that would come on every day. And it's just something that's just like, it reminds me of high school and everything. But I don't know if any of y'all remember Kids in the Hall. But yeah, it's back, and here I'll give you a little bit of nostalgic feeling, because when's the last time you heard this? Yes, for it. Maybe the best intro music ever. I don't know. When I first played it, when I got home, I'm a nerd, but I get kind of like goosebumpy. I get the member berries just from hearing the intro music. But anyway, I'm gonna start here in a second. This is a thing I started yesterday. I've been working on here and near yesterday, but it's character's Nyobi from Larry Higgins. Anybody who knows me seen me draw this character before, but I put this little thing together, and I didn't know what I was going to do originally with the drawing. I had these 4 templates that I was just kind of like making up, like clothing, everything as I just went along, and kind of just like hit me. I was like, I'll do Larry's character and make like variants, kind of how what's happening in the MCU with multiverse and all that stuff. Variants of multiple variants of people. So that's the idea. So try to draw the character Nyobi, slightly different. I mean, they all kind of look the same, but the last one here, I gave her horns because I'm making her the devil Nyobi. All right, just got a couple of minutes here. Yeah, I mean, Kids in the Hall. I mean, one of the best sketch comedy shows. I mean, one of the sketches, I mean, anybody who watches it remembers the sketch of "I'm crushing your head." The guys that are on the street looking at each other real close, going like this to each other, crushing their head. Sounds stupid if you haven't seen it before, but trust me, it's funny. There's so many great skits, man. The Rock and Roll Angel actually had Chris Robinson from the Black Keys, or the Black Crowes, excuse me, not the Black Keys. Listen to the Black Keys all night. All right. Yeah, anybody watched? I mean, if you watch Kids in the Hall growing up, or at any period, leave a comment. Let me know. If not, tell me, what other sketch shows, if any, did you watch? I mean, Living Color is probably still, maybe Living Color and Kids in the Hall are like the top 2. And I would probably give it as the living color just slightly because Jim Carrey in his prime on that show was just absolute like brilliance. Every single sketch he was in was brilliant. All right, so I think I'm gonna start by trying to blend the skin tones a little bit more before I do anything more. I got kind of a base colors down here. These are just like first layer colors. That's why if you see on a leg, it kind of looks like streaky. This paper I'm not a big fan of. It's the hot press, Arches hot press, and I bought it because I wanted to compare it to the cold press paper that they have, and I'm definitely a fan of the cold press. This stuff is great though, however, if you're doing like ink work. I mean, it still works with paint, but it does buckle a lot more. I like working with the thick paper. It holds a lot of water. I got my assortment of brushes here that I've collected over the last couple of years. A lot of them are just old. A lot of these you can get at, like Hobby Lobby or Michaels. Like the Princeton's. Sure, I talked about it before. These are like how much? $6. It's a Princeton Velvet Touch number 8. I actually have this, and I think I bought this by mistake. This is another. It's an Aqua Elite Princeton. Both of these brushes are really good. I say for cheap synthetic brushes, if you want to get a good brand, I go with the Princetons. I bought them on a whim, and they turned out to be fantastic. So eventually, one day in the future, if I need to get more synthetics, I'm gonna definitely be buying Princeton's if I can. Hopefully, the lighting's a little bit better. I'm got a little lighting rig that's holding my phone to record. We're gonna go as much as we can. I got about 50% on my phone, so I should be able to make a little bit of progress here. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't be a big fan of comedy. I mean, I don't understand. Like, if who doesn't like to laugh? You know, it's like one of the greatest feelings. Arguably, it could be argued maybe even the greatest like emotion feeling. But yeah, I've always been drawn to more of the comedic side of pretty much any medium. And like I said in the description, I'm using the same old paints I usually use, which is the Arteza Artist Gouache. 66. I keep them in these pans that I got off Amazon like 2 years ago. Cheap. Because it's a 60-piece set to Amazon, and it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to like dig through the whole box looking for the one color you need. Especially when me and your sometimes things grabbing stuff and everything can be a little bit of a pain. But it is what it is. Nyobi, if I'm not mistaken, she is Asian. So I think her skin, I can pull up a reference here too. I'm pretty sure her skin tone is fairly light. anybody, I mean, I can try to talk about what I've learned. But I'm not, definitely not like a pro or anything. Far from it when it comes to painting. But I've learned a lot in the last year and a half since I've just focused doing a lot more of it. All the trials and errors and the real, how to actually execute a painting. You see so many like small details in paintings, and when you get those small details, it's very difficult to get a clean line. But there's little tricks. I mean, you got to lay your base layer down first with most any medium of coloring. That's the first step. You just get the base undertone color, and then kind of just slowly build from there. It's weird. Painting's got this weird process of, well, for me, it's weird. There's always a moment in every painting, and there's so many paintings early on that I threw away because I thought I'd screwed them up. But there's this moment in most paintings, if not all of them, where like, especially being a new person to painting, there's this moment where you think the whole painting is just crap. Like everything looks muddy and just like thrown together and jumbled. And it looks, like a kindergartner did it or something. But there's this thing with gouache, and I'm strictly speaking for gouache here, is that because of how it operates, reactivating, water, and you can lift it up and layer, is that you just got to keep continuing the process. And like I've learned that even when you have that moment where you're like, oh, I screwed this up, it looks like crap. If you just continue to keep adding details, and you can keep fixing little mistakes and just slowly adding to it, it starts to come together. You gotta. I saw a video. I forgot who said it, but it's they were saying you gotta trust the process, because there is a moment where you're like, oh, this is just complete garbage, and it might be, but you got to go through the whole process because it can be saved. And sometimes, more recently, I've had paintings where I'm like, oh, this is turning out real bad. And then they come out, okay, definitely a lot better than what I thought was going to happen. How it might happen on this one. 6 a.m. here in northern Illinois. If you're watching it all in the future, or leave a comment, where are you guys from? I usually don't expect many people to actually want to be awake and watching a live painting stream Saturday morning, because most people are probably out drinking. I was at work all night. One thing I got to start doing at my job, anybody doesn't know, I work for a large towing company, and we do all the crazy stuff you see on like that show Highway Through Hell. But anyway, I'm the night guy there. I've been at my job for about 8 years now, almost 9. But the stuff we've seen, I mean, we work with all the police in our area, like the state police, so we get all kinds of crazy stuff. And I got to start taking more pictures, and maybe start sharing more on the channel. Blur out, like, obviously blur out your license plates and stuff. But I had a car last night. She didn't get arrested. She wasn't drunk. She just did something stupid, and it was really kind of stupid. But you get this call, kind of in more of like a rural area, more woods and big open fields, and some lady decided to drive through a field and then go through bushes, like these half, like they're not trees, but they're almost trees, and then found out that that level of the earth ends and it drops about 8 feet. So when I got there, her car was nosed into a ditch, and it was almost vertical, straight in the air. And then, and one of the sheriffs there, I've known him over the years from towing. I just got out, and I'm like, man, I was like, every time you give me a call, it gets progressively more crazy. Because the last couple we'd done with him, they've been real bad accidents. And one time, this is actually kind of funny, not funny, but we had a call for them, the Lake County sheriffs, and same cop, same sheriff, I should say, and it was for a golf cart, and he didn't know, who was driving it. It was just in the middle of this like side street, and he didn't know what was going on or whatever. There was blood on it, so he's like, it looked like somebody crashed it. So I get the thing loaded up, and I'm going to be taking it back to the sheriff's instead of our lot, so they can investigate whatever. So the sheriff pulls up as I'm loaded with the golf cart, and I have to reverse into another street to turn and go forward. And as I'm doing that, the sheriff leaves, and this is the summertime. So the sheriff leaves, he turns out on the main road, and I start going forward. As soon as I start going forward, I hear somebody yelling, "Hey, hey, hey!" And I turn around, and there's some kid running full sprint at my truck. And I just put a middle finger out the window, and I said, "Call the sheriff," and I drove away. And I was glad I was able to see him like a couple months later, because I remember asking him, I was like, "What was the deal with that golf cart?" And apparently, long story short, or long story long, I guess, just some kid who was drunk took his dad's personal golf cart that he uses to drive around like the subdivision, and took it for a joyride, crashed it into a tree, cracked his head open, and then went home and tried to play like nothing happened. And the sheriff's like, "Yeah, his dad, he's like, didn't really feel I needed to, do anything to get him in more trouble, because he's like, I'm pretty sure his dad's whooping his ass." But yeah, that's, like I said, you pull up the call sometimes, they say an arrest, and you get there and it's a golf cart. It's like, oh my God, really? Yeah, the violent accents that we get kind of, makes you really scratch your head sometimes. And it makes you scared too. I was talking to friends yesterday about that. What I do, seeing like the horrible accidents that happen from, that are caused by somebody who just, swerved into the other lane for no reason and hit another car and ended up like hurting or killing somebody. It's like, that's what gives me a complex now, even my own car. I don't know. I think if you drive for a living, you start getting this like ability to like kind of anticipate something bad happening. When I'm driving, I'm always trying to assume, or trying to keep like, okay, what would happen if this happens, type situation. Like, if this guy in front of me slams on his brakes, what's my move? And it has saved my ass before, because my motto is, I don't trust any cars on the road. I assume every car on the road is driven by an idiot. And it has, that philosophy has served me well. It's like if a car's coming and you're trying to cross the intersection, it's like so many people just want to go real fast. Oh, he'll stop, or assume the other person's going to see you. It's like, just wait the extra couple seconds and let them pass. Like, don't even allow that option to even have a chance of happening. I see way too many violent accidents. One thing I need to start getting better at, or doing when I'm doing these paintings, is I need to, this sketch, the pencils on this were just done on this paper. And I have found in a lot of my like other paintings that have turned out like really good, is there's one extra step I need to do. And what that is I should have sketched the pencils out, like everything, on a separate piece of paper, scanned it, and then Lightbox traced it on the paper. That way the whole sketch is done. You don't have to worry about like ghost lines or whatever, and trying to have to cover any lines up with paint, which sometimes it's a real pain in the butt if you don't erase or make the pencil lines thinner. Mm, I mean, you look at, I've referenced him before, obviously, because he uses gouache. And he's like maybe the best, at least in comics. But Alex Ross, using gouache and stuff, that's like, watching him do, what he does or seeing what he produces, it's just like, how? But that's why he's the master. I mean, right when I first started, was it last year in January, is when I really started focusing on like trying to do coloring painting, and I was hell bent on finding like, not, the tools don't make. It's like in sports, if the tools, the glove and baseball or whatever, the tools don't make the athlete or the artist. Obviously, you can have the most expensive pencils and brushes in the world. You can't draw. You can't draw. But I wanted to see what his method was, like what steps, like what was his first step and the second step, and it's hard. There's no real. He's got a YouTube channel, but there's like what do you call them? The time lapse videos of him like painting Wolverine or Spider Man, and those are cool. I mean, you can slow him down and pause it to kind of get a sense of how he's doing the painting, like where is he starting, what colors, like what layer is he starting with, then how does he progress from there. But there's no real time video of him doing like a painting. I mean, granted that wouldn't be really plausible, I don't think, because I think he says it takes him a day and a half to 2 days to do one of them. So I mean, it'd have to be multiple videos. But God, man, if that dude just did like a tutorial or taught a class, dude, I would be all over that. I was like trying to figure out like the materials he used. Again, not that didn't makes not definitely doesn't make the artist, but when it comes to using a water medium, painting, watercolors, gouache, casing, whatever, the real key tool that is more important than any brushes or any paints is the paper. And paper is by far the most important part of any water-based painting. If you have really good paper, it will make a huge difference. So the Arches paper, the stuff's expensive for a block. Depending on the size, you get up to like 100 something bucks. But the ones I buy are around like 70. But I haven't had money to get a set for a while here, so it's gonna be a little bit before I buy those. And I do want to get it because I have people that want me to do a commission for them, and I don't want to do it on the hot press paper, just because I'm not a big fan of how a lot of the paintings turn out. It doesn't hold as much water. That's why I feel like when I start layering more, it still stays streaky. You know what? Right back. Get my hair dryer. Yeah, but any water painters out there, if you're new, get you a hair dryer. It makes the process quicker instead of sitting and waiting. Because with gouache, you have to let the underpainting dry, or it will streak and look like shit. All right, time to figure out what color to do the top on the third figure. Fix my camera here. Why did it turn off? It works better this way. Sorry, everybody watching. Trying to get a good shot of what I'm actually doing here. My phone sucks for this. Yeah, it's finally getting nice here weather-wise here in Illinois or Chicago. So hopefully we get our month and a half, 2 months of good weather and then back to fall. It's just my hand I've talked about before. I have a circulation disorder. That's why my hand I'm missing fingers. And I got 2 dogs, and it makes it real hard to walk them when it's freezing cold outside because of that reason. I get affected by that real bad, even with gloves. Like if it's really cold outside, it can only sustain for like a real short time. So that's why as soon as it gets to a good temperature, I try to make sure that they get a lot of exercise in the summer. So in the last couple days, I've been wearing them out. So much so that Gunner, the little brown husky guy that I got, when I draw or paint or do anything, he's notorious for sitting right behind me and either pawing me, like hitting me with his paw, or just sitting there crying the whole time. And the last three days with all the exercises and the walks in the parks, he's done nothing but just sleep and be freaking exhausted, which is awesome. And Jambi, my older dog, he's getting older and he needs to get his exercise too. He's kind of a chud. He's a little potato. Like right here, like I put a bandana like wrapped around her leg here. It's like I don't even know why. It's the first thing I thought of. It's like this character, this one's like in a bikini, and I was like, it needs more accessories or some type of clothing, something more than just like a bikini with heels. But you got like the bad logo on the jacket, and then this one's got the bad tattoo with the skull and crossbones. because that is on Nyobi's jacket, the actual character. So I had to incorporate that as much as I could, but it's on the right side, and these two can't see the right side. I mean, I could add it there. It's a variant. But trying to keep some stuff like the same. Right. See, like this part here could be a little tricky because I'm trying to get these like real fine. Oh, oh my god! That was smooth. Mm-mm. Sorry about that. Anybody that's still watching or joined at this moment, that was me stupidly elbowing a cup of water that I had on my right arm and knocking it on the floor. Yay! Like I said, I got this like light stand for the phone here, and it doesn't. It's, kid Nick who's living with me right now. It's his, but they're out of town, so I'm kind of borrowing it. It's like it holds your cell phone, but it's got a big circular LED light behind it, and it tilts. Problem is, when you tilt it with the phone, the slightest movement can make it tip. I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna have that damn kids the whole thing, so I'm sticking my head on. Oh, let's do it again. Here's a perfect example of fine details. I was talking about like painting, yes, and it really can be. It's like how do you train or just teach your hand to be steady on these things? Like, is that taught or is that just it's all taught? But you know what I mean? Is it something you can learn from somebody that teaches you a technique, or is it just you just gotta keep doing it and you just become steady? There's got to be some techniques that help with that, or at least exercises. I should look into that. Like the people that paint miniatures and stuff. I just found it super impressive. Even though I don't paint miniatures, just to be able to get those fine details that those guys do. It is impressive.